lectures of curriculum or syllabus design presented by me, Dr. Saihi Hanane from the University of Iskra. In this lecture, we are going to try to talk about the instructional materials that should be used in the classroom in order to arrive at our goals that are already designed by the curriculum and by our syllabus in advance. So here we try to talk about let's say what was said about the curriculum by Richards and Schmidt in 2010, who said that curriculum is the educational purpose of the program, the educational purpose, which is general, which is the ultimate purpose of the syllabus, of the courses, of the subject in general. It is also the content of the program and the sequence in which it will be taught, which is known as a syllabus. So curriculum is a group of syllabuses. Also, the teaching procedure and the learning activities that will be applied, the teaching procedures, the steps, and the activities to be integrated in the course in order to arrive at certain objectives. The means to assess language learners' learning, the means to assess, okay? There are tools used to assess. Also, the means to assess whether a language program has achieved its goals or not. This is another, let's say, thing that should be included in the curriculum. And one of them is what is called the instructional material. So the material are things which can be drawn upon by language teachers or language learners to make the learning or language learning process easier and better and more facilitated. So one of the parts of the curriculum is the instructional material. Okay? Everything that we can bring to the classroom by both the learner and the teacher is called an instructional material. The essential is that their major objective is to arrive at facilitating, making it easier to attain, to let's say, to get knowledge, to develop skills, and so on. So when you talk about instructional material, we have to know what are the materials. What do you mean by materials? How are the types of materials? So the materials, they can be linguistic, okay? They can be printed, that can be touched, can be let's say can be in form of handouts, can be extracts from books, okay? It can be let's say a textbook. This is the linguistic. So it can be something written, printed, and so on and so forth. This is the linguistic. So it is printed sources, mainly like textbooks, extracts from books, chapters from books. So this is linguistic. Another type is the visual. Visual, it can be form of aids used such as pictures, posters, videos. So they are like to say, to make it easier and to make it much more real-like environment for language learning. It can be kinesthetic. So kinesthetic here, where students get involved in. Here it is by using, for example, the internet, the Facebook, social media. For example, can be using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and other tools using the software package applications. So these are what we call it kinesthetic, where the students is able to be part, get involved in. Auditory, using these auditory aids, they can go hand in hand with the visual aids when talking about videos. So all of this, auditory, all of these types of materials can be involved in the curriculum design or in the syllabus design. So the material is normally under control when I select the material and how to cope with the material, how to use it, how to arrive at my objectives respecting the students' needs using these forms of materials. So here the use of materials is not just to take it as it is and apply it, implement. No, I can use handouts, I can use textbook, not the same way. And each teacher has his own way of implementing. So there is the process of what is called adaptation or adoption and adaptation. The adoption and the adaptation. So the adoption is the process of choosing, selecting materials. So I select the textbook, I select the videos, I select the pictures, I select the audio aids, I select the social media to use to make it easier for my students to learn, to arrive at their goals, the needs to be developed. So here I start by the selection, which is called the adoption. I start adopting teaching materials based on what? Based on my language learners' needs. It's the first thing. Based on the determined objectives of the syllabus. Based on the classroom environments. I am going to teach in a classroom where it is equipped with the internet, with the PCs, or am I going to use a traditional room where I have only tables and chairs and the board? So what am I going to use? The language learner's attention also is very important. What he wants to do in real situation, in real life. So also here, when he is aware of what he is or what he aims to or what he expects to arrive at. So when I select, I should take into account these 4 main points: the language learner's needs, the objectives, the classroom environments, and the language or the learner's expectations or attention. Also, when after selecting, there is what is called the adaptation. The adaptation here, let's say we can say that it is a second step after adopting. So after the adoption, I'm going to adapt, I'm going to adjust these tools according to the students, according to the classroom environment, according to many other factors that will influence the implementation or the course delivery in regard to the materials used. So adaptation, it is changes made in the use of published teaching material. For example, the textbook. In order to make them more suitable for particular groups of learners, I should supplement, I should modify, I should delete, change some parts of the textbook or add some parts into the textbook. So materials are adapted based on the following factors. Based on the classroom dynamic, what I have inside the classroom environment. Okay, do I have internet to use kinesthetic materials? Shall I bring the tools to do so? Do my students, is there any classroom which is, let's say, equipped with PCs, internet, access, or not? Okay. So all of these things should be taken into account. Am I going to bring my PC? Am I going to bring my slideshows? Am I going to use my projector? Am I going to use to bring, let's say, the high speaker in order to make my students hear better? Am I going to bring a microphone? So all of these things should be considered. The personalities involved. Here we are dealing with the learning styles of my students. Okay, some students do not like to watch videos, they prefer to read, others they prefer to listen, others they prefer to speak, and so on. Also, the syllabus imposes constraints. For example, I am obliged not to use a video in this classroom because the acoustics is not good. You may, for example, disturb other students or other classes next to me. So all of these things should be taken into account. The syllabus imposes constraints here. I am obliged to finish by, for example, this week I have to finish this course, so finish this lesson. So I'm going to drop out some points from the textbook and move only to the main points, the main parts that will fit my students, in order to arrive at the primary designed syllabus or course objectives. The availability of the resources. Here we turn back to the availability of resources. I am in a well-equipped classroom, or I am in a classroom where I have only chairs and tables. The resources that are available. If I am in front of students with chairs and tables over, let's say, a large size class or small size class, here all of these factors will be part of the selection of or the adaptation of the material adopted. Also, the learner's expectations and motivations, and the motivation of the students and their expectation is very important. So if the students are less motivated, so here our task is to find resources that will help them to be motivated, sorry. So to be motivated in order to go ahead in our lessons. So it's very, very important. So the adoption is the first step, the adaptation is the second step, to move to what? To what is called the material developments. So the material developments must be moved through these two main steps. I select, I choose, and then I modify according to my students' needs and requirements. So Nishin and McAllister, about this topic, about these elements, elaborates on how language teachers can adapt, and evaluate. Part of the material development is the evaluation of the material, which is an existing course book. McRath also cited in Davis in 2007 and said that it states that those with the responsibility for the development of administration of language learning program in either education or workplace settings, we need scant persuading that evaluation and design learning assessment and the study of classroom processes are important applied linguistic activities. So it means what? It means it is very important. It is one of the responsibilities of both the government, the administration, the teacher, the instructor. All of them, they should take into account on how to evaluate and design a material that fits our students. So we select, we adapt, we adjust, and then we move to the evaluation in order to develop the material that really fits our students' needs. Once a course book has been chosen, teachers may follow the course book very closely, making the minimum number of changes when necessary. But this is not efficient in all cases. So we should be flexible to do so. We should evaluate and give feedback about the material adapted, about what should be modified. For example, when talking about the course book, it is very important to make this circle of these three main steps, which is the adoption, the adaptation, and the material development. Here we talk about the reasons why we make this three main steps. First of all, we talk about the reasons to do so is the requirements of school or the Ministry of Education. So based on this, these requirements, we move to modify, to adapt in order to fit the students' needs. Also, it is based on the teacher may be inexperienced or not well trained. We need to manipulate. So we can implement the textbook or the course book, let's say word by word. Okay, due to the fact that the teachers are not well trained. They don't have long experience in the teaching career. Also, maybe because the teacher assumes the course book to be valid and qualified. This is one of their viewpoints. Okay, the viewpoints or the viewpoints of the teacher. So, according to him, the textbook is good. So I'm going to I'm going to rely on it in the courses. So no need to change or add anything else. The language learners wish to cover all parts of the course book. So some learners may impose to implement, to use all the parts in the course book in order to see everything, to cover everything. Okay, so this is one of the reasons of why some teachers may follow the course book very closely, according to Nishan and McAllister. Also, there are techniques to cover materials to be taught and to suit the language learner's interests and proficiencies. These techniques, we start with these techniques. The first thing is varying the speed. Varying the speed is one of the techniques to suit the language learner's interests and their proficiencies. We can vary the speed. For example, there are some parts in the lesson or in the lecture that should take much time if compared to other points. I can let's minimize the length of or the contents of that sections in order to arrive at the aims of the lesson. Also, the number of repetitions. Okay, so I repeat practices. For example, writing a paragraph. I repeat this task or this activity just to let's say to develop certain things. So here I am obliged to use this technique of repetition. Assigning some parts of the lesson as homework. So in order to cover all the course book, I'm going to give them some sections from the lessons as in a form of homework. Also, creating parallel situations to those in the course book to provide extra practices here. I can do different things, different activities in the same time to end that area. Also, we talk about the problems that we may face using a course book. They can be, according to Nation and McAllister, the following is more detailed, exhaustive account of the reasons for teachers manipulating the course book in order to manipulate and change. Here, the first problem is that the course book does not include all the activities the teacher has already used successfully. Maybe the nature of the activities are not do not fit the students' needs, and the teacher is going to use it in a less effective way. So, the course book material is not proportionate to the time available for the course. So, it does not fit the time allotted. So, here we can have this can be a problem to be that needs to be solved, and we may face using a course book. Also, I may face that the course book contains content which is not suitable to language learners' current level of proficiency. For example, they are not able to write a paragraph, and I ask them to make book review. So this is crucial. I may find a problem with the course book in terms of the learner's knowledge and skills do not match that involved in the course book. This is to support the first idea, the previous idea. Also, the course book does not contain strategies, ideas, skills, and knowledge that learners need. The course book is talking about something that is not necessary for the needs of our students. We may face that the course book does not contain the principles that are thought by the teacher to be applied, and this can be a struggling point. Also, the course book can be or does not involve the language learners in the process of curriculum design. It means they design a course or a curriculum that does not fit the students' needs at all, that is not based on needs analysis, and here this is the biggest and the most challenging problem or issue with the course book. So what are the expected solutions to these problems? The solutions to these problems can be the following. We omit or add contents. We can change the sequencing of contents, and we rearrange the contents. We can add or omit monitoring. So here I'm going to ask them to do activities by themselves. I can add or omit assessments in some cases. For example, instead of doing 2 tests or 3 tests, I'm going to do just 1 test. I can also change the format of the lesson. Okay, I start with the last and go into the first, and so on and so forth. And I can also change the presentation of the lesson, how to present it. I'm going to use it in a different technique. Okay, so solutions also to these problems. We have the following. A teacher adds content like extensive reading components. So here this reading can help them to enrich their knowledge because he cannot change the course book. He can give them other things to do, like extensive reading to the course, which may be done because the teacher does not feel the course book is applying the principles that are believed by him or her to be important. Also, according to Nation McAllister, also give credits to using computers, and the internet supports the teaching. So it became very important. So the computers and the internet, this will help in the process of material developments. As I argue, computer has impacted on language teaching in 4 ways. The use of computers in language learning, laboratories, and self-access centers. The use of computer-mediated activities in classroom, an epitome of which could be teaching writing. Yeah, it is very helpful. The use of the internet as a source of information. We cannot get access to the print source. We can have the internet, the easiest way. The use of corpora in language learning to generate language learning materials. So here we are going to have a collection of documents that will help us to generate language learning materials. Okay, so these were the solutions of such kind of problems that we can face with materials such as the course book. To sum up, the extent to which learners of language use computers and the internet is determined by the outer circle of curriculum. Determined by the outer circle of the curriculum. So the curriculum is a bit restricted. So the obvious environment constraints include lack of money to buy the equipments, schools without electricity, and teachers in familiarity with technology. All of these things will really be constraints to adapt, and to develop a material. So thank you very much for watching this video. Wishing to see you in other videos that